king, here comes the big number one. Budweiser beer, the king is second to none. Just say Budweiser, you've said it all. Here comes the king of beer, so lift your glass, let's hear the call.
Boy, that brings back a whole lot of memories, right? That is about talk about that jingle synonymous with Anheuser-Busch in St. Louis. Tracy Lauer joins us. Tracy, we've decided you have the best job in America.
I think I do. I think I do.
How long have you been an archivist at Anheuser-Busch?
I've been there 16 years.
16 years.
Yes, I started when I was 10.
Yes.
That's what I tell people.
How did you get the job as an archivist at Anheuser-Busch?
I just got really lucky. I had an undergraduate degree in history, and I got a master's in historical administration from Eastern Illinois University. And I, needed to find a job in archives or a museum, and there was an opening, and so I applied and got it. So kind of been there ever since.
That's a pretty good scam you got.
Yes, definitely.
All right, so what's this old Schoolhouse Museum? What's going on here?
Yeah, so we're really excited that we're finally able to open the old Schoolhouse Museum experience, and so it's a great historic landmark on our property that we're able to open up and showcase about 400 of our artifacts that we've never had really out before for the general public to see.
Is this the school that they point out on the tour?
Yes, it is. So it's the old schoolhouse, the old Lions Schoolhouse. It's right on Pestalozzi. It's one of the 3 historic landmarks on our property. It was obviously an old schoolhouse owned by the St. Louis Public School System. It was opened in 1868, and then Anheuser-Busch acquired it in 1907 when the school system no longer needed it.
And so why now? What's happened that we can now open this up now?
Yeah, well, we've always been able to showcase some of our materials in the tour center, and so we decided, now's a great time to expand that experience and allow people to see more of our history. St. Louis is so important in terms of brewing history, and so this really gives us the opportunity to, to show the world, hey, this is the home of Budweiser, this is the home of brewing. You should really come and take a look at the materials that we have.
What are some of what's anything that really surprised you, like, oh my goodness?
I think,
as far as artifacts go?
Well, I think for St. Louis anyway, there are so many brewers in St. Louis. There were about 50 brewers in the 1800s. And so I think that's something that really fascinated me. And I think some of the things that we're able to show, we don't just focus on the brewers, but we focus on the other, groups of people that were very important in brewing, like the coopers, the people making those wooden barrels. We had an entire cooper's shop at Anheuser-Busch, and so we're able to showcase some of their tools. We have an oil lamp that's on display that shows, the people when they were working in the cave department, this is how they would illuminate the cave space. It's some things that you never really think about, but these people were really instrumental in making Anheuser-Busch an international success.
How much survived, and how did it survive? Because I would suspect they weren't necessarily thinking years ago, oh my goodness, we need to save this.
Yeah, the company's had an archive since the 1940s, and it was always part of the original mission of the company to say, hey, you know what, we really want to, maintain these materials. It's really important to us, and we can use them for a variety of different purposes. So we have about 17,000 artifacts in our collection, 3-dimensional artifacts, and we have hundreds of thousands of photographs and countless documents. But, we have a lot of really, really great materials to showcase the history of the company.
What did you bring us here?
I brought you a few things. I brought one of the Anheuser-Busch pocket knives. A lot of people are really familiar with the pocket knife, and it's a really great story behind it. Adolphus Busch and other key members would pass out these pocket knives to consumers in St. Louis. And the reason that they wanted them was because there was a cork pull attached to the pocket knife. Bottles were corked prior to the invention of the bottle cap, and so it was an easy way for people to be able to get into those bottles. So these pocket knives, there are about 75 different varieties of them. Some of them said Anheuser-Busch, some of them had pictures of Adolphus Busch on them or images of the company. But the one thing that was consistent was there's a small hole in the pocket knife, and you hold it up to the light and you look through the hole and you'll see a picture of Adolphus Busch.
Do you have it with you?
I do.
When did the bottle cap? When was the bottle cap invented?
The bottle cap was invented in 1891. And so prior to that, all of our bottles were corked. And I think a lot of consumers forget that. If they see these wooden-handled cork pulls or these pocket knives, they wonder, oh, were we distributing wine? But no, in fact, all those bottles were corked.
Wow, that's really interesting. Okay, so what do we need to know about the tour?
Well, the tour, there are a couple different options. You know, we've heard from a lot of consumers that they want different options within their tour experience. So we have this special history tour that will allow consumers to visit 3 of the National Historic Landmarks on the property. So they'll go to the stables, the historic brew house, and then they'll walk around the old Schoolhouse Museum for about 30 to 45 minutes. And that will give them an opportunity to see all of those artifacts. As part of that special tour, it costs $25. Consumers will be given a free sample in the old Schoolhouse Museum space. We have one of the rooms that's set up like a tavern in the 1880s. They'll get one of these metal coins that beer drummers used to give out in the 1880s. They would give it to consumers, and consumers would take that little coin to a tavern and turn it in for a free sample. So we're replicating that experience from the 1880s. We've reproduced some glasses from the 1880s that consumers will be able to drink from, and they'll be able to take those home as their souvenir.
All right, and all of that can be found where?
All of that information can be found on the St. Louis Brewery Tours website. So you'll be able to get more information about that and book your experience through our website.
And what's the website's name?
Oh, it's
or the website?
Yeah, it's stlouisbrewerytours.com.
stlouisbrewerytours.com. That is Tracy Lauer, the best scam going Anheuser-Busch archivist.
I'm just fascinated.
And when does this open?
So
when is it? Is it open now?
It opens today.
It opens today.
Yeah.
And it runs forever?
It runs forever.
So this is part of the new tour.
This is part of the new tour. So
fantastic. Tracy Lauer, thanks for coming in.
Sure,
cool.
thanks for having me.
You got it. Anheuser-Busch archivist on the Schoolhouse Museum tour, which is open now. St. Louis